first. Boom.
Welcome, sir. How are you tonight?
Welcome, Alex. Welcome.
Good. I just had to turn up my volume. You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're good.
Did you get some packages dropped off all right?
Yes. My my packer had to leave early today, unintentionally. Her child actually ended up in the hospital. Long story. Won't go into it, but I had to pack about 42 orders by myself for 1 p.m. So barely. I got them there just in time. So
man, close call. Well, dude, thanks for grinding and cutting some time in for us tonight. I really appreciate it. I know you work a ton, so I appreciate you making a little time, especially this week. Big announcement, big stuff. So tell us about this merger.
So if you guys don't know me, my name is Alex. I am the owner of Frog Daddy. I launched my business in 2018 in my apartment, and now I'm in a facility. I moved into the facility about 2019, and now we're up to 300 and some odd tanks. I keep adding more, so I think I'm at 320, 330 right now. 150 different kinds of poison frogs. So we focus on Ufaga Pumilio primarily, which you guys, it's fine. So anyway, that's just a short little introduction. I did want to get that out of the way before we dove in per se.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot. That's a lot of enclosures. I mean, I'm glad you got some help there, but
yeah, I'll do a quick little spin in my chair. I'll try to do it slow so my gimbal keeps up. Because as I told my Instagram live people, I was just on there. I just got a new gimbal, and so I'm trying to figure out how it works. So.
Yeah, I've got one too the other day, and I'm still trying to work with it for my iPhone. Then I'm going to have to get one for my iPad.
Yep. That's I'm using it on my iPhone right now, so just trying to, get a little more tech savvy, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to move around.
Yeah. Y'all, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Naughty Business Live, the #1 reptile network podcast, whatever you want to call us, right on TikTok with Constrictly, Dreadnought, and Anthem Exotics. We have Frog Daddy on right here. He's going to show us some really cool dart frogs. You got some cool plants. Those are all living vivariums right there. I mean, that's all bioactive. You got fruit flies. I mean, you do it all.
I do a lot.
Right? You started out whenever with just a couple frogs, and here's where it grows. So y'all give him the credit he deserves, the applause, the likes. Everybody follow everybody. Everybody support the community, and let's have a good show. Hit it.
Oh, absolutely.
My fiance's on. Hello.
Nice.
If you want to give anybody a shout out right now, right, you run it, man. Go with it, and then questions will pop up. You know how these working, and I'm trying to come up with some questions.
Yeah, you guys ask as many questions as you want. I'm here for it, so just let me know.
When did you get started? When did you get your first frogs? What drew you to it? And when did you start that just as a hobby, as a personal thing?
So my first frogs were Dendrobates auratus, which are the green and black poison frogs. Yep. Pretty classic, pretty easy, good in groups. I got those in 2011. So I didn't start as far back as some other people have. Sure, some titans in the industry have started in the early 90s when they were first imported. But I got those in college, and then during college I had about 6 enclosures. Then in grad school, I went up to Michigan for grad school, and I had about 13 during grad school. And then after that, I came back down to teach. I was a professor for 3 years. I taught biology, urban ecology, genetics, and metacognition. Usually taught juniors. So I taught at college. And then after that, I started to get really into it. So much so that I had to kind of quit the teaching stuff. So it was tough because I love teaching, but I had 72 enclosures the third year, and the fourth year I had 132. And then, It was too much. So,
Ha.
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot.
Tell us about what are the main genus, what are the main species that people generally focus on that make it to the pet trade? I mean, I know Papilio, you said dendrites?
So basically, Dendrobatidae is the family, and within that family, you have of poison frogs. You have Amarega, Adelphobates. You have Hyloxalis. You have I already said Dendrobates, I think, earlier. Then you have Ufaga, Rantomea, Philobades. So there's several genera.
Yeah.
So it's again, there's a lot of diversity here. So typically, that's why you see people like me with huge collections and there's no there's no hybridization, there's no crossbreeding, and that's because we have such a wide breadth of diversity already here. So generally speaking, people really like to focus on Dendrobates, Philobades, and probably Epiphytobates for like the beginner frogs. I think some of the other genera are a little more specific, and they're not harder, but you know, the level of entry is a little higher, I guess.
So, from a taxonomy standpoint, what's the difference? I mean, is it bone structure, diet, size? Like, why are they different?
Lots. I mean, well, we're still figuring out how different they really are. A lot of them, even cross genera, can still crossbreed. So that tells you something. Generally in biology, when we talk about species, we refer to the biological species concept, which is just, you know, X, Y, and Z can make, you know, products of themselves and they're fertile. But in dart frogs, it's kind of muddier water. So the taxonomy is still, to this day, being worked out with new genetic studies coming out and stuff like that. But generally what makes them different is going to be obviously their genes, but genes translate to morphology. So you have your phenotypic diversity differences. So the size, the diet is a little different, cross genera sometimes. It depends. Philobades is a good example. Philobades take larger prey items. Most of the other frogs are not truly macrophagous, but close enough to be classified like macrophagy, which means they eat small prey items. So that's the difference between all the other genera and Philobades, because Philobades will tackle some crickets.
Really? Are they the largest?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are they the largest size, like as far as?
Yeah, by gram weight. So the largest snout to vent length is going to be your Dendrobates tinctorius. Your heaviest by gram weight is going to be Philobades tirbus. So when you say largest, you know, see, I told you I'm really technical with stuff, so you gotta.
That's good.
If I get too technical, you just yell at me.
No, keep it going. That's what we like.
That's what this show's all about.
Yeah.
Like that we want to bring knowledge. We learn. People have great questions. They learn, and it just draws the community together through a pursuit of knowledge, and that's the whole thing, man. So yeah, if it's above our head, we'll ask. People in the comments will ask, but by all means, shoot away.
So you're talking about different prey items here, right? You kind of talked about that with different species of frogs and whatnot. Kind of reiterate, kind of get on like the type of prey you're talking about. And maybe I seen something somewhere, just heard this maybe rumor. Is it true that depending on what you feed your dart frog, they may necessarily not be toxic?
Yeah. So to be explicit and clear, all of the captive bred dart frogs in the industry are non-toxic to humans. They're not going to carry their normal toxicity because their toxins are derived from their diet, their native diet, which a lot of that is ants, mites, millipedes, beetles. Most of the gut studies, there's only a handful of them. I don't want to say they're inconclusive, but we're still kind of researching that. We as in not me. I'm not doing research.
Right.
But the people that are. And then, so in the industry, in our hobby, we tend to feed them fruit flies. There's obviously more flies, but again, I'm going to I'm going to try my very best to not get so technical. There's two main types of flies. There's Drosophila melanogaster, which are the small flies, and then there's Drosophila hydei, which are the bigger flies, both of which can be taken as prey items for poison frogs, and that is their staple diet. If anybody's listening, you do want to supplement because dart frogs are not getting enough nutrition with those staple feeders in terms of micronutrients. So you do need to use a good supplementation regimen. Repashy Calcium Plus is great for every feeding. So yeah, that's kind of the feeder stuff.
Okay.
Which is great. I mean, it's good. I don't have to deal with crickets. I hate crickets. They stink. If you say they don't stink, you're lying. Fruit flies are great. They really don't stink. I mean, our media that we sell has a good smell to it all throughout the life cycle. And that's why I hate hydei. I only breed melanogaster here. So we make about 600 cultures a week.
A week?
Yeah.
Wow.
My employee Blair does. Bless their heart. So.
Well, how often? Okay, so how often are you feeding then? You're feeding
3 times a week. So usually they'll feed Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Blair's my employee that does the feeding. Allie is an employee that does cleaning and tank maintenance. And then April's actually in here. April's one of my employees. She is the packer that I was talking
All right, thanks, April. Nice.
She says it smells like breakfast.
It's a running thing at this point.
That's funny.
It does smell good, though. It really does. It was developed for about 4 years. I did a lot of iterations, about 83 different iterations of it before I got it 100% to how I wanted it.
83?
Yeah, it was a lot of tweaking. Some of it was resource availability, some of it was cost. As I grew, you know how it goes. So I wanted to make the best media possible. And I think that I've done a really good job with the melanogaster stuff. Still have to make a good hydei media, but like I said, I don't like those flies.
So talk about your position in the industry then. Let's have a humble brag moment. Where do you stand in that?
I mean, in the industry, I guess I'm probably one. I mean, there's not many of us. Okay, so
No.
Josh's Frogs owns probably 80% of the market share. He is a titan of the industry. He is as big as Walmart could be to mom and pop deli. So we're like the mom and pop deli at this point. I am still a very small business in terms of scale, in terms of revenue. I have 5 employees, great people, great team. They, Josh has around 100 for perspective. They're about 80 times my size in terms of revenue. So if you multiplied me times 80, you'd get Josh's. So it just brings you to scale. Besides them, there's any Herp, New England Herpeticulture, great company, love them. They're fantastic.
I've bought several things from them over the years.
Yeah, they're great people. I love everybody that works there. Fantastic company, very reliable. They've been in the industry for almost, I believe, about 20 years now. And they can correct me if I'm wrong, of course. But they're great. And then there was Houston Frogs, which I merged with literally last week. And then after that, I mean, there's other businesses, of course. But like at scale, I'm missing a few, like Saurian, like via Patrick Neighbors, and there's others, of course. There's some in Jungle Jewel in Canada, so there's other people in our industry, but I think like at our size of what we do, there's not too many.
Right.
TNA Chameleons wants to know, she's got one heck of a chameleon operation. She wants to know, how do you keep your food from becoming liquid?
Well, we use a lot of congealing agents in our media. And so ours does, and I don't do hydei, so I mean, I can't help you. That's a reason I don't do them. They smell, they don't outcompete the mite cycle. They can revert back to flying if they mate with wild type. I only do double recessive wingless melanogasters, so they don't revert to flyers. They're completely wingless. So hydei do carry more supplements on their wings. They have more usable surface area on their wings to carry supplements to the frog. Some could argue that that is going to be better. However, if you're supplementing 3 times a week like you should be, then it's pretty negligible in my opinion. I've been using melanogaster for 13 years. I've never had any issues with production. So again, getting back to her question, I don't know. I mean, what you could do is try gums. If you use heat, if you use like boiling water, you could try agar. That could definitely help. It's gonna, cost money. So you just gotta, it depends on how much you're doing. So
Right.
yeah, chameleons need they need the high DI, so I totally understand. Like, you guys need to use high DI. It makes sense. I'm very lucky in the fact that I don't need them. So we don't breed them. Not yet. I've tried a few times. They'll be great. They'll be going great. I'll sell them. They boom like crazy, and then all of a sudden you have mites everywhere. And so we can't risk our entire operation getting mites. I just can't do it. I'd lose thousands of dollars. So that's why we don't do them.
Now, the melanogaster, you're one of the top in the nation, though, as far as amount of production. You said that number of cultures you're making is tops, right?
Yeah, I believe I mean, I can't say that with certainty. There's a lot of feeder businesses, like the feeder plug. He'll buy our media, but he actually makes the cultures, and I'm sure he makes a ton. He supplies pet stores all throughout Florida. If you're looking at these bigger wholesalers, I'm sure there's some that do. But when you look online, I mean, they've got to be doing it via private contract, because online it's like me and Josh and any herp, and that's really it. So yeah.
Right. Wow.
Okay.
Well, we want to know a lot about the Familial Project, and I know Dred's got some questions, and Anthem as well has some questions. But as someone along the way, do you have some frogs you could show us up close in some deli cups, perhaps?
Yeah, I was supposed to do that. I didn't, but I can.
That's okay. We don't want to jeopardize them.
No, I mean, I can go around and try and find some. It's just nighttime, so I really should have. I was supposed to do that.
Well, give us a little tour. Just kind of give us a little tour then, or whatever, and then and then just do the best you can. We'll
see if the gimbal respects me.
We'll love it.
We'll also see if it respects the frogs, because it's going to be looking for me. So I'll take it off the gimbal.
Yeah, I don't know how to. I think it has a deal where you can turn it, or is that not working?
No, it can. Mine definitely does. I have the AI tracking on.
Oh yeah,
I
okay.
don't know how to turn the AI tracking off, like while I'm
on the fly, right? Okay.
And then get it back on without like messing with it.
So I got to compromise. Put your head in the vivarium and then just like get really close and hold it out there.
That's what I have to do. No, but I can definitely, like, towards the end, guys, we'll do that. I'll take it off the gimbal, and then I'll search for some frogs. I'll find them.
Cool.
They can't hide from me.
Talk about their habitat a little bit, while you're.
I guess I can stand in front of my.
Or proper setup, things like that. We kind of covered their diet. Yeah, I guess habitat would be a good start.
Cool. So, I guess with the habitat, generally speaking, like, are you talking about like captive habitat, like? You
could even merge if you want from wild to captive, or just run with like keepers, right? Everybody on here is keepers, so.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring you were talking about. So typically you want to start with like a drainage layer. A drainage layer is just like any negative space below the tank to capture water. I guess what I'll do is I'll just rip it off. I'm sorry, Gimbal. Oh, she's so mad. We're gonna freehand like we used to. Old school. Oh yeah. Okay.
Y'all, let's get 10,000. Come on.
This will be better.
Keep it tapping.
Hey, at least you got steady internet, Alex. You should have seen last week. Our guest, I think a snake room is in a tomb, down like about 10 stories below the ground, and he just kept losing internet every 90 seconds.
Yeah, that's it. I made sure like my Wi-Fi was good like before we did this, and I typically do lives and stuff like that. I used to. How do you switch the camera on this live? I know how to do it on Instagram, but is there like a space where I can flip the cameras, or am I just
other than your hand manually with the phone? Not really.
Well, yeah, you can. Hold on. Can you do it even when you're in the big box? When I do my lives, I flip it. You should be able to touch the big box
Okay.
that you're on.
Oh yeah, there's a camera
And
swirl.
then somewhere you
Okay.
can see where it says flip it. You should be able to flip it.
Sure did. Sure did. All right, I'm going to open this bad boy up. So here we go.
Nice.
All right, buddies. These are Philobades terribilis mints right here.
That's your favorite, isn't it?
These are quite awesome frogs. Oh, here's a great profile shot of one.
Wow.
So those are really beautiful frogs. So these are, again, the biggest by gram weight. They're also the original dart frog. So they are the ones the natives used on their blow darts to usually kill monkeys. So in agricultural settings. So they dangle these guys over the fire, get the poison on the darts, and before the monkeys hit the ground, they were dead. Because this poison can kill about 10 humans. So they are the deadliest vertebrate on the planet in terms of poison. So,
Wow.
Wow.
So this is a display tank. This is it's very large. It's a 6-footer.
Wow.
So like I was saying, there was a drainage layer. It's down beneath the substrate in the leaf litter here. Obviously, you have drainage down here. Then you have substrate. There's a vent strip here. And then your leaf litter. All this green stuff is just vitamin A. We just fed with vitamin A today. And you guys can see this is completely living, all live plants. There's about 200 species of plants in this vivarium. So I made it very diverse. Don't get out. All right, sorry. Choppy camera because I almost thought one got out. I'm going to pull it.
200 species of plants?
Yes. So
Wow.
there's a lot of little shinglers and things like that. You guys can see there is actually a lot of species diversity in this tank here.
Marcravia. I love Marcravia. I have a little bit growing myself.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love any shingling species. Those are some of my favorites. You guys can see.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Guy up there. There's some true pothos right here. Not your epiprimum, like a real pothos. So those are quite the pretty penny. Yeah, I've got some really cool stuff in here, but generally speaking, most of your vivariums are not going to be this big. This is just a display tank, but like I probably showed you guys, you can't even get all of it in one shot. Just makes it kind of difficult to show people.
I mean, I can't imagine that little frog in a 6-footer. That's unbelievable.
We have 10 of them in there, but yeah, they definitely have enough space. So sorry, door is not fun.
So what's a good substrate then? I mean, I know you got your drainage layers because of the moisture. I mean, talk about like what's a good your layers or type of media you would want to use.
So typically you want to use an ABG derivative or something of the sort. So ABG just stands for Atlanta Botanical Garden. They're the first people about 10 years ago to make a properly draining substrate for plants originally. Obviously, they're a botanical garden. If you guys haven't been to the ABG, you definitely need to go. It's wonderful. I know a lot of people that work there. So if you guys need to hook up, let me know. But anyway, yeah.
I love that place. I mean, I love their substrate, and I've looked at them online, but I really want to go in person.
Yeah, you got to go at least once in your life. They have such amazing displays. They're very well kept up, and they also have poison frogs, so that's pretty cool. Because I'm biased, but yeah. So like in the ABG, we sell a product called Flora Boost. It's basically pretty much the same recipe. It's a little different, of course, or else it would be called ABG. But it's good. You want a substrate that lasts you years, because these enclosures can last years if they're taken care of properly. So generally, your substrate's going to last about 3 to 10 years, depending on the ratio, depending on how much you water, depending on the plants. You guys kind of get the point. So
what about your heat, humidity, and because this all works into your heat, humidity, proper husbandry to your lifespan of your dart frog?
Yeah. So heat. The good thing is the heat's not necessary unless you guys are really, really cold. So heat generally is around you hit acute metabolic stress on the low end at like 63, 64, and then acute metabolic stress on the high end is around 85 to 90. So you really want to keep them below 85 degrees and generally above 70. But I mean, drops into the high 60s is totally fine. We drop our facility to like 64, 65 in the winter. Never had any problems. A lot of the highland species actually do get those temperatures in their native range. So again, you're not going to cause any problems with these. They're amphibians. They don't need, they're not digesting large prey items. Again, with the flies. So they don't need a ton of heat. That's the great part. The other great part is the light. They don't really need a lot of light. The light is mainly for the plants. And then the humidity is the only thing. The humidity is key, and that's where a lot of people mess up. Humidity needs to be around, I don't care what people say. I'm sorry. I may be old school on this, but like 85 to 90%. Don't drop them to 70% humidity unless you know what you're doing, unless you're an experienced keeper, because if they get too dry for too long, they will die. So it's like 70% to you and me, not a big deal. 70% to them, that's pretty low. You really don't want to go below 70. 100% is also a little dangerous. Again, if you know what you're doing, not a big deal. But you have to understand if your humidity is at 100% and your temperatures go up, they can't respire. So you're gonna hit that acute metabolic stress at much lower temperatures if there's no
Really?
So
You're basically steaming them at that point.
correct. Yeah. So again, you want a little thin strip of ventilation. I can show you guys like our tops that we have. Let me do the little flip thing here.
Yeah, when we spoke on the phone last week, you were talking about how there are no commercially made, perfect out of the box enclosures for them, and that
Correct.
the topper and the right amount of ventilation is super key. What have you done to address that? Is that what we're going to see here?
Yeah, so I'm going to take you guys into this tank. These are, again, terribilis. These are the orange blackfoot. Same. The male's up there. You can see the really dark throat. Really cool frogs. Beautiful animals.
Beautiful.
But you guys can see that this top, I'm going to take you underneath it. That's all glass. This is all glass pane. It goes almost all the way back until you hit this back part. That is the back ventilation. And this is the front ventilation. You guys can see there's quadrants here. 4 quadrants for ventilation. And then there's 4 in the back as well. So that provides enough. And that's about 2 inches tops. But, I mean, you're looking at about an inch. And it's just a square. So, again, most of these tanks are very humid. You guys can see a lot of condensation on here. But, I mean, just, it's just beautiful to be able to keep these animals and these vivariums.
That's sizable. That's Saginella down in the middle center there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Wildenowii. It's the one I posted on my Instagram. It's the variegated one. So it's pretty cool. I got some pretty cool plants. Don't get me started.
Yeah, my wife was big into plants, and she's still the plant woman. So she's saying she had a lot of the stuff you have over there. I can't remember what they are.
Yeah, there's a
How
lot
did
of
you get
cool
a green
plants.
thumb? How did you do that?
I mean, I got my green thumb a long time ago. I did plants way before I did anything else. I really like Margravia. Just beautiful plants. Begonia are some of my favorite. It's a bit Bipinatophyta. And then a Palilloensis right here. Again, It's just, I mean, I've got a lot. We could do that all day. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. That could be a daggone marathon right there.
yeah, I didn't want to go too crazy with that. So
So is it better, right?
plants? I'll show you plants. Otherwise, I'll curtail.
Yeah. So you're showing us that, and then I'll kind of shut up and let somebody else. I'll lose my train of thought if I don't do this. I apologize. So wherever we was at, so you showed that. So it's good to keep them together, right? Community-wise, or social behavior.
So there's some. So a general misconception is that they need each other. So the frogs are totally fine on their own. They don't get lonely or anything like that. There's not a lot of higher cognitive function that we know of. Of course, I remain open to that. As any new keeper, anybody that's currently with the times, a lot of larger snakes, lizards, things like that, we're still learning a lot about higher cognitive function. In these animals, we really do not see any markers of that. So generalistically, I do like to keep the anthropomorphic stuff a little bit less in these species. Whereas like your big monitor lizards, there could be bonding there. We're still doing, you guys know more than me even, probably about that kind of stuff. So with that being said, these animals are more instinctual. So they see each other as mates or as competition. So generally speaking, you have your group tolerant species and then your group intolerant species. And that's it. So any of them can be kept alone. Group tolerant species obviously can tolerate being in groups. Group intolerant species like Dendrobates tinctorius. Let me see if I can find the Azurius, because I did want to show you guys those. Those are the blue ones that are really pretty.
Isn't that what people usually call tanks?
Yes.
Yeah.
So any tank, let me see if I can find my green sips. They're a little easier to find sometimes. Let's see if I can find them. I would hate to have you guys not see some tanks. Let's see if we can. I just do not know. Again, it's their bedtime, so
right.
They're probably really irritated that I'm even keeping the lights on. But I did want to show you guys some. Let's see if I can walk over here and see any.
That is an amazing setup you got. Oh, I'm telling you. What's the square footage over there?
10,000.
10,000.
10,000. Here's some Abizio.
Wow.
Maybe we can get a glance of these pepperai Abizio.
Wow.
There's one.
Yeah, so pretty.
I like that yellow and blue and the blacks like that. That is cool.
Yeah, they're pretty.
He looks like he probably got a little bit of greens to him too.
Yeah, they do. Hey man, I want to show you guys at least one tank, but they are all sleeping right now. But yeah, it's definitely a big place. This square right here is only about 2,000 square feet, not even.
My goodness. There's some people have had some product questions up there. I don't know if now's a good time. What's your drainage layer options? What would you recommend to people to maybe be a little bit more foolproof and not become anaerobic? And what would you say about that? And also, what about the tops? Does someone mention you sell your tops?
I do. Yeah, those tops that I was showing you guys can be found on my website. They're in the plastic section. So if you go to dry goods, then you go to plastic and replacement parts, they're going to be under those. They're the CNC printed tops. They're manufactured by Frogs and Frag, which is Craig. If you guys have any questions about those, of course, obviously contact me. I'm on my phone, unfortunately, 24/7. But yeah, the tops are great. Drainage layer, I can show you guys real quick. The drainage layers that I like to make are PVC bottom. These are Hyloxalis. This is a big display tank that's right next to my big one that we toured a little bit. And you guys can see there's PVC stanchions here that I just cut. Then I silicone them down here. And then there's light diffuser panel, if you guys can see across here. The screen's wrapped around it. And then you've got a PVC drainage layer. Good thing about that is you can store more water in there, which means you're not going to be like draining it as much. It's kind of nice, especially when you're adding a lot of water to these environments. Having a good sized drainage layer is really important. We use LECA too, so hydro balls, if you guys are familiar with those. We do use those. I don't love them. The only reason I don't love them is because they're heavy. So if you guys aren't moving your tank, it's totally fine. Go ahead and use them because there's more There's more bioavailable surface area there for beneficial bacteria. Just be aware that if you have your drainage layer is full of water, it's going to become anoxic. So like, there's no point in having a drainage layer that's full. The only time you just want a little water in there, if any. So,
is that the same as expanded clay pebbles? Is that the same?
Yes.
Or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
That's
That
what I
is
use on mine. The Viv behind me, it's 6 years old, and that's what I use. It's not tempered glass; it's an Exoterra. I drilled mine with a drill press and put a bulkhead on it. See, I was a reefer for a decade commercially, so that light diffuser on PVC used to be how we'd grow, live rock and frags and grow the corals. Not the most beautiful thing to look at, but very functional. It keeps detritus out and kept the flow going. So I'm familiar with that, but I love that expanded clay. And I drilled my tank, but I just have one, not 300 and some odd.
Yeah, and I move mine sometimes. Yeah. I did find some tanks. I should know that my cheat code is coming to the back wall for the 10s. These are Patricia. So these are some really pretty frogs. There's old line. They're the old lines, so there's some higher whites. Usually the Patricia you guys see are going to be more like the some more yellow to them.
Those are sizable. Those are just
Yes.
coconut shells cut in half commercially, right? That have been aged.
Yes,
They're big.
that is correct. These are some Leucomelis. These are your bumblebees. Typically, those are more group tolerant. You guys can see the better color there if I go into the actual enclosure. So, pretty cool. But yeah.
So, someone's asking about how, Bo, do you find the Amarega?
Yeah, moderately. I wouldn't say they're very bold, but they definitely. It depends on what kind they are. I have some chromes that I can show you guys right here. There's one out right now. This tank here, you guys. Hopefully, he doesn't move. There's the chrome, and he's out right in the open. Beautiful animals. They're very group tolerant, though. That's why I really like Amarega. And we're actually changing our displays here. You guys see the 6-footer. We're going to have 4 36 cubes here, the display, and then 4 more 36 cubes here. And that'll be our Amarega collection. So that's really great. But yeah. Let's see. Back.
Wow.
Cool.
Somebody wants to see Tumus.
Tumus. Actually, our Tumus are kind of out of commission right now. So they got thin. So we're currently trying to treat them. So we don't really, we have a place. I can show you guys the back area here. And that's a good topic to talk about too, is treating animals this is our nursery. So we have all of our babies here, all of our tadpoles. These are all baby frogs that are growing up. We have about 118 of these bins. And then these are our tadpoles at the moment that we have. These are all of our communal tadpole setups, which house anywhere from 10 to 15 per cup. And those are group tolerant tadpoles. A lot of the tadpoles are cannibalistic. So
This is awesome.
Yeah, so.
Which tadpoles are cannibalistic?
A lot of them, actually. Most of them are. So
Wow.
all the gender babies are. This is the Pamilio Project room. As you can see, the nice tanks that are labeled with white labels. They're absolutely gorgeous if I turn the lights on. This is all going to be filled with tanks. And so it's a huge U shape of 12, 18s for pairs only. And again, we don't really recommend that for people that aren't experienced. I would highly recommend like an 18 by 18 by 24 Exoterra or an 18 by 18 by 18 if you guys are keeping frogs. because if you don't know what to look for, a 12-12-18 is a very small space. Even though the frogs are literally an inch, they still control big territories in the wild. So if you don't know what to look for in terms of aggression, in terms of like food, like hoarding, stuff like that, it's can be dangerous to keep animals in that size enclosure long term.
Wow. So despite their size, bigger is better for an enclosure. I mean, is that a good generalization? Surprisingly?
Surprisingly, yes. For frogs, yes. For dart frogs especially. So some of the tree frogs are a lot better in groups, especially the smaller ones. They can definitely handle smaller enclosures. But dart frogs actually, especially well, it depends. A lot of the times the males are territorial. Sometimes the females are. It depends by species. But in general, there are territorial disputes. And a lot of these frogs can have a square kilometer of territory in the wild. So
wow,
we're talking about defending a huge area. A square meter. But still, I mean, it's still not a kilometer. Jesus, that would be crazy, wouldn't it?
I'm like, these out there.
That'd be fun. That'd be crazy. We'd have some problems. No, but a square meter. So again, I mean, that's a 3 foot by 3 foot. So unless you're putting them in those giant display tanks, your tank's not big enough by default. So what we end up doing in our industry is we're putting these frogs in smaller enclosures than they're generally supposed to be in. So we have to take extra precautions, for sure.
What about your substrate, your drainage layer? We talked about that. We talked about your tops. Your tops come in standard sizes for the Exoterra market.
Yes.
Is there Zilla Exoterra? Are they all the same dimensions or?
Yeah, so yes and no. So Zilla, we don't service Zilla, unfortunately. We do service Zoomed and Exoterra. As long as they're the newer models of Zoomed, they will fit, and the newer models of Exoterra, they will fit. If you guys are not going to find an old Exoterra, we're talking over a decade old. If you do, it's probably got glass that is etched so badly you wouldn't want to put a frog in there anyway, because you never see it. But I did absorb a collection. And it was from Scott Menegos. He was one of the OGs in the dart frog game. And his Exoterras were over 10 years old. And that's how I found out that my tops don't fit all the Exoterras. So, but they will. They'll fit your tanks. Zilla,
I gotcha.
They don't. So.
Reptile classifieds. Yeah, we showed frogs. In fact, we've kept the frogs up way past their bedtime, so we don't want to. We've already kind of looked at some frogs. I'm sorry you missed it. I didn't want to not address your question. Now, you mentioned glass etching, like scaling, calcium lime. Talk about your water source. Are you using RO water, UV treated, all of the above? What do you do?
Yeah, so we don't UV treat. But I would love to, because we get algae sometimes. In our supply, there's algae in our filters.
We lost your audio a bit, Alex. It went way mute.
Oh, sorry.
No, there you go. We got you now.
Good? Okay.
Yep.
I was saying that we would like to use UV because we get some algae, but we do use RO. We use six stage filters. I've got 2. So yeah, basically everything in here is plumbed. It's automatic water filling and then automatic misting. So basically all of our reservoirs autofill from our 6-stage filters. They autofill, and then they'll distribute the water to all of our tanks. So if you guys haven't seen the Miss Kings, I'm sure you saw the nozzles when we were looking at some of the tanks. You guys can see that they're all hooked up. And I mean, the Miss Kings are great. We do not use any other misting systems. We only use Miss Kings. And you guys can definitely see that line goes all the way across here. We have 14 advanced systems in our facility. I have a switch here that actually turns them on. So you guys can see and probably hear all the misting. You guys can see that nice micron mist there.
Yeah.
This tank is pretty ugly.
I'm
But-
still shocked that you go between an 80 to 90% humidity. Like, I had no idea. I thought 100 or go home. I mean, that's an impressive little bit of knowledge there. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely like on that note, it's like 100's not bad. It's just 100 is only bad for like long periods of time. You're much like for new people, you're much better going too high than too low. Like I was trying to explain, because too high is just like, okay, as long as the temperature's good, they're going to be fine. But if it's too low, they're going to have problems metabolizing things, osmoregulating. I mean, you're going to run into problems right away.
How do you prevent foot rot in
Yeah.
Philobades?
Lots of leaf litter. Yep. If you guys notice, our leaf litter is nice in all of our tanks. We prioritize that. My employee Allie resurfaces once a week, which is way insane. You do not need to do that. But it keeps our showroom looking very nice. I mean, I can show you guys like just even after misting, we still, I mean, you can see some leftover fruit flies right there. But you can see how like brown this leaf litter is. It's not decayed at all. So we keep a really nice thick layer in all of our enclosures. I mean, it doesn't matter which one you're in. It's constantly replenished.
That looks like, is that live oak from the southeast
Yes.
U.S.?
That's all I use is live oak. And the reason for that is it's small and it looks nice. So,
It's got a pretty thick cuticle. It doesn't break down too quick either.
correct. It's a thick cuticle leaf, and if you guys can get a hold of it, it's definitely the best for dart frogs, in my opinion. You can also do what's called a bilayer. It's exactly how it sounds. You do some thin cuticle leaves or live oak, and then you can top it with something with a large surface area so they can like hide underneath it, things like that. We don't do that because we don't want frogs at the front of the tanks, for obvious reasons. We're opening them almost daily, so it's like chances of getting out is high. So we want to minimize that where we can.
That makes sense.
So here. Let me throw this right quick. You got a lot of frogs over there. I mean, a lot. You got a lot of baby frogs, a lot of tadpoles. Something at some point has to have went awry. Frogs had to have gotten out. No.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. A lot.
Yes, absolutely. And it's an unfortunate thing about our industry that they're, crispies. They happen. When we clean underneath our racks, we usually find a couple. Luckily, it's been less and less because we do have rat lines here. We have a 3-foot egress around the entire facility. Sorry, I'm messing with my shoes right now. I know this must be so awkward. Only reason is because my shoes untied. So when I'm walking, that's not a good idea. We don't want to trip on the live.
Hey, this is naughty business. We're uncut. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I know.
Live acting. That's what we're here for.
But anyway, I can show you guys. You guys see if I get down how high these are off the ground. These are actually over a foot off the ground. They're about 14 inches off the ground. So for the Pamilio project, it's really useful. Some of these are impossible to get again, pretty much at this time.
Wow.
Very, very rare frogs. So we have a rat line back there. We can easily get behind here very quickly, go that way, and intercept them. We can go the other way as well. So it is a little worse than our racks over here. You can see they're much closer to the ground. Those are unfortunately only about 9 to 10 inches off the ground. So yeah, you do lose some. It's rare, but it's not.
Yeah, but that's
definitely
not
unheard of.
So this happened to me. I gotta tell.
But we're trying to prevent it. Like I said, we used to keep our racks against the wall, and now we don't.
So check this out. when my boy was little at daycare, there was a sump over behind their daycare, and the toads, right, there was babies everywhere. Right, I mean, they was just probably a couple of days old frogs, from whenever they came from a tadpole. We caught like 200 of them and put them in this bucket. I'm like, let's get these little toads and put them all over the yard, right? I want them everywhere in the neighborhood because I could never really see too many of them. The little joker had the bucket in his hand and he just went dump right out in the back seat of the car. We was out there for hours trying to get.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Don't take tadpoles and frogs on car rides.
Yeah, don't take frogs on car rides, especially 200 of them in a little bucket with your 4-year-old boy.
Yeah, bucket's probably not the most reliable way to transport.
Right. Yeah. Either way. So.
Okay. Maybe jelly cups next time, right?
Somebody wants to know something they should be aware of if they are to own a frog.
I think the biggest thing is just make sure you're ready first. That goes with any reptile, amphibian, exotics, all the way into animals. You could even say kids. Just make sure you're prepared. So have the enclosure set up, have the research done. There's not really one specific thing. I think it's more of a combination of things. Just, you're not going to know everything, just like all you guys know. We're always learning new things. Even I'm learning new things every day, as we all are. So you can't be 100% prepared, but there is a level of preparedness that I think is adequate. And I think a lot of people, especially when they go to like the reptile shows, sometimes we make impulse purchases and we don't have the enclosure for the animal. I mean, I've done it. So I'm not condemning anyone. I think the biggest thing is just making sure you know how to feed them. Can I get more food if I run out? And then do I have the proper enclosure to keep this animal alive? So I think those are the biggest things you could do for that.
Is there one particular that could be a better beginner dart frog or it?
Yeah, I think the bumblebees that I showed you guys, the Dendrobates leucomelis, those are great starter frogs. They're good in groups. They have a nice call. They're very hardy, and then they're moderately bold. So you're going to see them a lot. They're, having 4 or 5 in a tank is not really a problem typically. They're generally foolproof. Same with the Epiphytobates, like the Santa Isabels or the tricolors. I don't know how people want me to refer to them. They're really easy. They're good in groups, call out all the time. That's generally what you're looking for in a beginner frog is kind of, am I going to see it? Can it take a week off food if I run out? Which again, we just talked about that. But with fruit flies, it can happen because your cultures can crash. They're hard to ship in the summer. I mean, we still have trouble shipping them in the summer. It's very difficult because they're very temperature sensitive. So like getting them is not always easy. Whereas you can go to PetSmart and usually get some crickets, no problem. And there's a lot of PetSmarts around. Typically to feed these frogs, you need a lot of fruit flies and they sell the little vials and it's just not enough. So you're looking at a food issue. And that's why we always want people to culture their own, because culturing your own is so easy and it's reliable and you can keep having food, consistently. And that's the key to keeping the dart frogs is, consistently having fruit flies. It's all about the fruit flies. So I think that's like the major thing. If you had to pick one thing, that would be it.
Yeah, and Kyle just brought up a good point, and I was just going to say the same thing. I think that about having your own discoid or dubia roaches, your own mealworms, your own rats. I mean, you've got to have your own food source if you're going to be serious about it at all, so you don't have the highs and lows quite so bad. And in this case, it's fruit flies, but I mean, I think that kind of comes with the territory.
Rodents probably are a little harder. I would think a little smellier, but fruit fly, like people think fruit flies and they're like, ew, not in my house, not in my kitchen, no way. But they forget they're contained in their cup forever. You never have to take them out unless you're feeding, and they're wingless, so they don't fly. They just crawl around helplessly. Once they're supplemented, they just sit there. They can't crawl up the cup once they have the dust on them. So it's like, again, there's no reason not to culture your own, and then they don't smell, and then when you're done, you just throw the cup away, or you recycle it and compost the media. But either way, it's not like you're cleaning rodent pens and like, you know, you deal with.
Yeah, I can speak from experience.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm in there twice a week, so
EPs, like so much stuff where it's just in a little cup. When the cup's out of flies, you're done. You know, it's like it's pretty nice. So
How do you culture a new one? I mean, do you just buy extra media from like you and then start a new cup and take some adults and put them in there and let them alone, or what?
literally it. So you have an empty deli cup, and you have what's called a producing culture. And your empty cup, you put the dry media in, you mix it with water, you take your producing culture, you tap out some flies, cup it, done. There you have a new fresh culture and then a producing culture. And then 14 days from the time you made the new culture, it's producing, then you do it again. It's very, it's great. So you just
14 days. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, well, at 10 to 14 days at optimal temperatures, you'll have new flies. If you use melanogaster, if you use high DI, it'll be 21. But
but who's counting? I mean,
no, I'm just, I just throw shade on it. I don't know why. But,
what's your lighting of choice? What do you go with on your lights, man?
Amazon LEDs. So I'll
Same.
guys.
Same.
Yeah.
Amazon LEDs. There you go.
Same.
Don't overcomplicate it. See, people spend a lot on lighting. I'm not gonna shit on them. I just want to say that I'm just coming over here to show you guys the actual unit.
They're pretty nice, dude. For 30 to 50 bucks now, you've got these lightweight little panels that can handle some high humidity. They're easy to mount. I mean, they got cycles and dimming. I mean, they're fantastic.
This is all we use. These are LED shop lights. They're exactly 6 feet long. They link together. And guess what? Our racks are also 6 feet long. So they literally fit the rack. They go right above it. We usually zip tie. Doing some exercising today. We usually zip tie them to the top, kind of like so. These are just extra tanks in that store area. But yeah, that's what we do. And we have hundreds of them in our facility here. So,
hey, Alex, would you go pimp your Instagram so people can find you? Because you're not a TikToker. You're doing our bridge tonight. So tell us about your Instagram and how they can find you.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Frog Daddy with an underscore, because the original Frog Daddy will not give it up. I've tried to contact him. He's an old dude. Just still posts. He's still active. He's just an old man. He will not read my messages. I've offered him money. I'm like, dude, I'll pay you to get the original. And he just never read it. So, but yeah, so it's Frog Daddy with an underscore. And you guys,
if it's any consolation, Alex, when you search that on Google or anywhere, you're the only one that comes up. So forget about that guy.
I mean, I figured like on Google and stuff, yeah, it wouldn't be him, but it's just, it annoys me, you know? It's like, it's like my website's .net too. Somebody owns frogdaddy.com, and now he wants $20,000 for it. So it's getting harder and harder to buy it every year. And I'm just like, I got to break down eventually and buy it, because he's just going to keep increasing the price as I grow. He's very aware of my existence.
That bastard.
Yeah, he wanted $4,000 when I started, and I was like, wow, so much money. I could never afford that. And now I'm just like, oh my God, I wish I bought it for $4,000. So
that's terrible, but hilarious.
Yeah, frogdaddy.net now, guys. Sorry, it's not .com. So hopefully that'll change in the future, but
that's all right, man. You're the only Frog Daddy for us. We got you.
Yeah, you're the only Frog Daddy for us.
Thank you.
There it is.
That makes me feel good.
What you got? You got something like that'll stump him?
I have a question, but it's pretty long, if that's okay.
Do it.
Okay, so obviously dart frogs are one of the hugest examples of aposmatism, which is displaying bright colors to show they're poisonous. That being said, it's also been proven that the diet we feed them now results in them not being so poisonous, right? Do you think in the future that will have an effect on their aposmatism?
No, I think that, like, in terms of like breeding them in captivity, like for multiple generations without outcrossing, no, because there's no selective pressures. There's not no, but there's like, it's complicated because I'm an evolutionary biologist by trade, so it's a great question. I can talk about it for hours, so be aware of that. But in captivity, the selective pressures that aposmatism kind of goes on, which is basically mostly avian-based predation in poison frogs, but not necessarily, because there's also a lot of sexual selection going on. And that's more, actually now they're finding out that that's more of a driver than some of the aposmatic characteristics, especially in the bluer frogs. We don't have to get into that, but to answer your question succinctly, I don't think so. The only reason I don't think so is because the selective pressures here are negligible. And also people are intentionally or unintentionally line breeding some of the stuff that they want to see. So a lot of the phenotypes, again, sexual selection is being dealt with in these collections, especially in group settings. So if you have a group of like 6 Pamilio and it ranges, and I have groups like this that range, Boca Colubre is a great example. The locale, there are redder frogs in the locale and bluer frogs, and then some with patchwork. They're one of the only locales like this, but there's a huge array, right? The blue frogs really like mating with the blue frogs, and the patchwork ones will mate with either one, and then the red frogs tend to like to mate with the redder frogs. So in that case, you'd be seeing nothing like that happening. And I think that case it's a stronger use case than losing that aposmatism, because that's also contrast too. So like skunks, great example, because their predators are colorblind, so they're black and white. So they still have aposmatism there, but coyotes are like, oh shit, I can't, that's gonna mess me up. So yeah, I don't think so, but I can't say for certainty because there's a lot of variables that aren't really constrained, and I don't really think we could even test that without you're looking at generation times of over a year, usually 1.5 to 2 years in Pamilio. I mean, you'd have to do that experiment with a good subject size for decades to get like evolutionary traits to be tracked. And you'd have to be taking genetic samples of all of those frogs at all times.
Wow.
For every generation. So evolutionary biology is better in the field. I mean, there's stuff you can do in a lab to supplement the field work, but field work is really where a lot of evolutionary biology, especially with like large swaths of phenotypic variability, if you're testing for that, it's really good to use wild populations and then just go from there. So hopefully that answered your question a little bit. I know that was it's a little verbose because I am very wordy and loquacious and all of that, so I do apologize.
The reason I was asking you is because obviously, with evolution, they can adjust and et cetera. So I wasn't sure if maybe in the future, aposmatism could become mimicry instead in the captivity world.
I mean, well, yeah, a lot of stuff could happen. I mean, especially if you're talking, if we keep these frogs hundreds of generations. Yeah, I mean, even with humans, you're gonna start seeing homogenization and stuff because of globalization. It's very interesting, and I actually taught about that in my genetics class because we had a biology of race component with that. So it was really interesting to talk about from an evolutionary perspective. So I think with the frogs having a fast generation time, couple hundred years, yeah, I mean, there could be a lot that happens. Depends on what pressures are being in that subset population, what pressures are being applied, what we're playing as God, kind of like in their tanks. I mean, me making a hypothesis about it would be probably a disservice to you guys, because I don't know. I don't think anyone could know for sure. But it could be very interesting to see if I have my great-great-grandchild running Frog Daddy at some point, which, who knows? No children right now, so I don't know.
I guess I was just a little concerned. I was like, well, I don't know if I want them to lose their aposematism necessarily, but mimicry is cool too. And even if they display, oh yeah, I'm big, bad, and poisonous, it's still beneficial, but then would they be called poison dart frogs anymore?
Well, yeah, so I guess they still would be if the wild population somehow, some way, which wouldn't happen, but if they did, let's just say lose their aposematism, again, you would still have to lose sexual selection pressures. I mean, you'd basically be living in a vacuum at that point, so it won't happen. But yeah, they'd have to be called not poison frogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some that are doing that. So Rantomea imitator is a good example. They're in a mimetic radiation, and there are both good examples of Batesian and Malarian mimicry, where some of them are as poisonous as their toxic model species, and some of them are way less. So they're saving on that metabolism to create those secondary metabolites, their alkaloid cocktail. They're saving that energy. So as a trade-off, they're having more babies. They're investing more into parental care, actually. So that's really strange and cool, because parental care is a big part of poison frog ecology. And it's very strange because a lot of frogs don't care for their young.
Yeah.
And these guys care a lot about their young. So it's cool to see Rantomea doing that when they shouldn't be. So yeah, it shouldn't be. So again, that's another kind of example of like, I don't know, because nature does what it wants, and whatever works for animals at the time works, and then whatever doesn't work, and then those animals die and don't pass on their genes, and there you go. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, again, like I said, verbose. I can go.
No, we love it. No, man, we're holding steady viewers, buddy. Everyone wants to know.
We're keeping them.
What about your someone that's about carotenoid and your supplement rotation? What do you?
Sure, yeah. So right now, for the past 6 years, I've used Repashy Calcium Plus. It's a great supplement all around. It's your daily. It's not daily, but every feeding, it's the staple supplement. For breeders, typically what we'll do is we'll have vitamin A plus, which is also made by Repashy. We'll work that in usually 1 to 2 times a month during the breeding season. You don't want to overdose on vitamin A. As it's fat soluble, it can't build up in the animal. These are small animals, but yeah, it's small prey items, so really it's scaled. It's fine. But basically what I'm trying to say is you don't want to feed vitamin A every feeding. And I think the only problem with Alan is a great guy. He makes great supplements. Love him. But he put a dart frog on the vitamin A one, which is fine. But a lot of new people see that and they're like, oh, that's the supplement I need to dust with. And then they end up dusting their frogs with vitamin A every feeding. And it's like, that's kind of dangerous. It's calcium based. So again, it's not a lot of vitamin A. I mean, it is a lot of vitamin A, but you get what I mean. It's not like pure vitamin A. That would be bad. But it's also in the form of retinol, so the amphibians can actually metabolize that, whereas like beta carotene, they really can't, especially very well. So like your Herptovite, your other supplements with vitamin A derivatives, if they're beta carotene constituents, those can't even be used by most amphibians. So again, that's why we like to use Repashy, is because he really did put time into developing those supplements. I mean, since I've known Alan, he has become a titan in the industry. I mean, I just remember when he was like, not making the first one, but like he was such a small business, you know.
Really?
And now he's in all the pet stores now. No, it's great. I mean, it's a great thing.
Knowing him that long?
Well, I don't know him personally, but like I knew of him. So it's like, and we've talked a few times, but if you asked him about me, he'd probably be like, "Who is that? Who is that?" So, yeah, I'm a small fry in the pond.
Just a tadpole, sir.
Just a tadpole in the pond. That's right. I can't believe I didn't use that.
That's what I'm here for.
There you go. At least somebody's paying attention, making funny puns. But yeah, carotenoid wise. So the good thing is, Alan made that supplement, Repashy Calcium Plus, for dart frogs. He put a leopard gecko on it. I know, crazy, but he wanted a different animal and all this stuff. We can get into that later. But the point is, the good thing is he has carotenoids in Repashy Calcium Plus that are good enough for daily doses. So you could use Repashy Calcium Plus every day, and the vitamin A is in there too. So it is a broad spectrum vitamin and mineral supplement that you could literally just use standalone and be good. It's everything the dart frogs need, and that's why we use it primarily. However, the doses are for daily, so it's like, are we getting enough? And that's an ongoing debate in our community. There's a lot of new stuff. We have a clay bath supplement now via Houston Frogs, via the merger, which is a high amount of magnesium, which is kind of lacking in some of those supplements. So we're looking at things, and they transdermally absorb, like frogs transdermally absorb minerals.
Sure.
They are found sitting in clay substrates that do have high mineral contents. So we are starting to figure out that, hey, they're not getting everything from their diet. They're also getting it from transdermal absorption. So we're trying to incorporate some of that, study it, create products that are reflective of what they're doing in the wild. So that's a really cool, it's newer. We're still working on it. We're still, what we have now is beneficial. However, I feel like we could do even more R&D, and that's what Chase is really in charge of now at Houston Frogs. He's my chief research officer, so he's doing all of the research for our company in terms of new supplements, new lighting. He's doing everything. So it's going to be really cool to come out with new products for the industry that I hope are going to revolutionize our way of keeping. And I have a really good test subject range because I have about 2,000 frogs in my facility right now. So I am hoping to set up some controlled areas to where we can actually do some science later on.
Take that, snake rat guys. 2,000 animals.
Yeah, they're little, so it's like,
Do you ever see yourself
launching? Easier than
launching?
having 2,000 snakes, I bet. So,
Do you ever want to launch your own product line as far as supplementation or substrate, your own version of ABG? Stuff like that.
I have. So, like, I don't have supplements yet. I am not ready for that. We have to do a ton of testing. Supplements are something you don't want to mess with. You got to make sure they are perfect, that they're lab tested, third party tested. They've got to have years and years into development, see if there's any problems. There's a lot of supplement companies that have come around. They've created a supplement and it's just whatever, or it's just calcium carbonate. It's just garbage. And like, we're not going to do that. So no, I mean, I don't have that. I do have substrate though. I have a lot of my own products, all my fruit fly media, all of my, April listed all of the substrates. We do all of those in-house. We manufacture everything in the facility. I can actually take you guys back to where we do that. Our entire
Flora Boost, I would assume, is a fertilizer or
no,
jungle.
So Flora Boost is actually our ABG. So it is our substrate. It's kind of, I know, it's kind of crazy. We have a lot of different substrates. We have 3. So, and they all have like similar names, so it's kind of confusing. But here you guys go.
Do you ever fertilize your plants? Is there any target fertilization, like with pipettes or something, so you don't hurt the frogs, or is that a terrible idea?
So no, we do, these are all of our, this is where we like to do tanks. This is our tank building area. Our fruit fly tent is here. So we keep that really clean. That's our clean tent for our flies. This is for our inverter. Huge area. This is like 5,000 square feet back here for all our manufacturing. Then we come around here, and these are all of our like pallet racks that we have just all sorts of crazy stuff on right now. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I'm impressed, man. That is quite the operation.
Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, we're definitely, with the merger coming through, we've had to put more and more into infrastructure. So we've actually expanded that too. I mean, we have new pallet racks coming in. We're really focusing on expanding right now. So it's nice to have the facility kind of separated. So we have this, this 5,000 square feet in the back here, and then I come through these double doors, and you have the 5,000 square feet of the live area. And that's great. We're building a lab in here. So our lab is going to be over here. We're going to have about 300 square feet for our lab. We'll be doing tissue culturing, mycological stuff. So we'll be bringing you guys cutting edge tissue culture products. I'm very excited about doing that. So sterile mosses, sterile plants. It's going to be really cool. So,
which is really important on an established, if someone introducing a plant into their established vivarium, that is super essential to avoid snails and slugs and bacteria or any little critters. I mean, that is so important.
We have our fair share here. Everybody does. And it's just like, you build a new tank, you swear you clean everything really well. You do the soaks, you make sure everything's good to go, and then you find a snail and you're like, oh, it's over.
It's over. It's over.
So, no, it happens all the time. It definitely sucks. But that'll help, So we'll hopefully be bringing those kind of products to the industry. I'm very hopeful about our new IPs that are going to come out in the future.
I was an isopod guy. What kind of isopods? I know you have. I see some for sale, but I know some are more carnivorous, some are more herbivores. I mean, do you use temperate white springtails, I presume, at those temperatures and humidity? And then dwarf white isopods. Do you use any surface cleanup crew? Powder orange or what?
Nope. I only use dwarf species. So we use dwarf whites and dwarf purples. I stay away from the Nigruis cristatus. So those are your dwarf gray stripes. Those are very, very plant hungry. So they'll attack live tissues. I was actually an isopod guy before I was almost anything. My first
isopods for the win.
Yeah, I got my first ones in 2014, before the hobby even really started. And I was actually a major player in the isopod game in 2016 through about 2019 when the market bubbled. We had over 140 types.
So that's when I was doing it. 2018 to 2021. I was Isoviva. You might not have heard of me.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay,
that was Isoviva, dude. That was me.
Yeah, I didn't know that was you. I had no idea. That's so cool.
No, I'll get the sweatshirt right now. I will show you.
Oh, no, I believe you. I believe you. That's
Look at this.
Though.
Look at this. We made a match. Good night.
Yeah, so like Laura and Alex Blunt and all that, like getting imports from Northern Lights and Canada. That was like all like really early when we first got access to like Thailand and stuff. The first rubber duckies came in. Like I was like paying the big bucks for all those right when they came in. And so now we like really scaled down on isopods because I mean the industry is interesting. if you haven't noticed, it's very saturated. So we really do focus on bioactive stuff now. So your powders, your dwarf species, and springtails. I mean, that's our mass production. That's what people want from us. They're not buying spatulated or like, you know, your Expansis or anything. Like people just, they don't care enough.
I love the Porcelios, and if I get back into it, I kind of want to do the lemon blues. I never did it. I did rubber duckies and very. I think I want to do lemon blues and not really anything else, but just those. I freaking love them.
You got to focus on those, man. They are prone to just mass crashing. Lemon blues are some of the hardest to breed. Those and Jupiters are pretty rough in terms of breeding. I've found that, like, in those, in the green dust too. Oh my God, when green dust came in,
magic potions are great.
I lost every single one of them many times. So yeah. So yeah, if you get into Jupiters, they're Dan Aberdeen or whatever his name is. He breeds them by the billion, I think. He's a whiz, man. He only keeps like 7 or 8 different kinds of Cubaris. But he's so good at breeding them. So we can talk about that when, you know, whenever.
We'll nerd out on roly-poly some other time, but
I could go on.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so the spiky species took over. Nobody, even if you paid $50 a piece, those ones from the island nations in Central America, stuff like this, anything spiky that was illegal, that was, if you didn't have that you were dead after 2020, 21.
Yeah, for sure. You got to stay ahead of the curve with those things. I knew one guy that got in the Cuban ones, completely brown boxed. This is completely illegal. Do not ever do that, guys.
Right.
And he paid, I believe, $300 per. So it was like $3,000 for a 10 count, and they all died. So.
Oh.
I mean, and they're also critically endangered. They're like literally just the most illegal to take. So I just
and you don't know about their diet. They have a very specialized diet from where they come from, and you can't even replicate that in house at home. And it's not the right thing to do by any stretch.
Not at all. Yeah, leave them where they're at, especially if it's not legal. Like, come on. So. You know how that goes in the industry. It's still a thing, unfortunately, sometimes. But
that's why macaws come over by the dozens and taped up in the tires of semi trucks and stuff across the border. I mean, people still find ways.
It's terrible because we have such good captive breeding efforts, and that's why it's so important for us to keep going and keep doing captive breeding for as many types of animals as possible. So we can drive the price down of smuggled animals. It actually does significantly help, especially with the poison frogs. We've seen entire markets, illegal black markets, completely crash and burn just due to the fact that we're breeding the hell out of them. So it's great. It's good. It's a good thing to do.
Touching on this stuff, tell us about the Pomelio project. I mean, your sense of ecology. Protecting the environment, doing the right thing. Tell us about what drove you to the Pomelio project and where it's going and where it's at.
Sure. So the Pomelio project was kind of I don't really know how it started. I think the idea came from me just really liking those frogs, one. And then the second thing was me seeing why are they never available for purchase and why are these customers getting so mad that I never have any. And then 3, just their environment, just like all of the poison frogs, is in trouble and shrinking in size. So it's threefold. I really started to enjoy Oophaga Pomelio from my ex-business partner. I actually had an ex-business partner. He was my business partner for about 2 years, and he had a huge collection of Pomelio. I only had 6 kinds. I didn't really care about them that much. To me, they were cool, but they weren't like the thing. And he had 70 tanks full of them. And so I went to his house one time, and I was like, man, these are kind of cool. Like, I didn't know there were so many different kinds. And this was back in the day. And he ended up becoming my business partner and merging with me. Great guy, William Newell. He lives in Florida now. He's happily retired from this. But basically, I've retained his collection, and I have not seen anybody really focus on Pumilio on a large scale. Nobody does it. And I felt like it was kind of my duty to do so because I like them so much. And that's kind of where that came from. So I started collecting them a while back, and then about, I want to say less than 6 months ago, I kind of decided to stop selling them for the most part, to really focus on holding back the genes that I do have, because some of them are so rare, so hard to find. And the other problem is that they take very good care of their babies, so they don't produce many of them. So so the mothers actually feed the babies unfertilized eggs, and that's why they're called ufagas, so it's egg eater. So their babies will only eat unfertilized eggs from the mother. So the mother literally raises them in the bromeliad axils all the way up until they're froglets, and then you have a froglet, right? So cool, but they only raise like 5 to 6 at a time max. So during a cycle, you're only getting 6 frogs. 2 of them die. 4 of them may make it to juvenile stage. Into adulthood, maybe 3 to 4. Sometimes you get all 6, sometimes not. Sometimes you get 0 every time. So there are those. So what I had found is that when you look to buy these, they're so hard to find. They're not available anywhere. Everybody's out of stock. And then people have like 5 or 6, right? And then they'll go, and then they'll be out of stock again. So there's no consistent breeding supply of these animals for the industry. So I wanted to be the first company to kind of take the initiative to, one, protect all these locales and these genes, keep several pairs of each type of Pumilio, and then being able to supply the hobby, other serious hobbyists that want to get in. And on the secondary spot, we want to do something for or in Panama, utilizing the Pumilio project. So like I said at the beginning of this, that's still in a kind of hypothetical arena. Like you guys saw, we're nowhere near even finished with the tanks yet. So we're still years out from doing this project because of lack of funds. And I've gone back and forth about crowdsourcing. I have a pretty good reputation, I'd like to think. And I would just hate for that to be diminished by a for-profit company asking for donations.
Right.
So I was just really, and I still am. I don't know how I want to go about it. Right now, I'm just using my own funds to fund the project. But eventually, I would like to have a section of the Pumilio project going towards something in Panama to actually help these animals in nature, because just collecting them here that doesn't do anything really.
Well, it sounds like there's an avenue. Could you do a spinoff, like nonprofit of them and then
Yes.
with your scholastic background, could you write for grants? Do you know, grant writing is a specialty. I know nothing about it other than it exists.
Yes, it is. And like, I would feel more comfortable hiring somebody for that, honestly, because, and that could be part of it. So like we could crowdsource for that and then have somebody writing grant, so it could work in the favor of the nonprofit to do that. And it definitely could happen. I think a lot of the infrastructural work is still hypothetical at this point. So I think what we need to do first is really delineate, where are we going with this project? What exact markers are we trying to hit in terms of funding, and like where we want the nonprofit to go? What kind of sectors will we be looking at for land purchase? What do we want to do for these frogs once we get the land? Do we want to do ecotourism? Do we literally just staff it with people with guns and say, screw it, anybody that's on this land is, it's like, we don't know yet. So I think the Pamilio project, as of right now, is an idea and a goal, but I don't think it has its tangible pieces yet to it.
Yeah, well, it's only 6 months. I mean, you're talking talking 2 decades of a program here. It sounds like.
Sure. Right. So the foresight of it is pretty vague at this time. But I really do think, like, once we have the tank set up, once we say, okay, here's what's going in all these enclosures, here's what we need to focus on breeding for the industry, here's what we need to focus on preserving for ecological purposes, then we can kind of take the next step and say, what are we doing for Panama? Where are we going in this nonprofit? And how are we going to give back to these frogs and to anybody that supports this endeavor? So I think it's really multimodal and it's very complex at its core. Yeah. So I think we need to take more time with it to, like, really get into the nitty gritty. That's why I'm giving such vague answers with it, and I hate to do it. It's just such a ambition at this point. I think it's the best way.
That's exactly what I was going to get at. The nuts and bolts aside, in your heart of hearts, if you were to sit there and dream whimsically on a hillside, where do you want it to be? What do you want from it?
I want there to be, the vision for it is multimodal as well. So the first would be to have a protected genomic bank of these frogs. Every locality that is currently available in the United States, at least, if not nationwide, and if not tertiary at all. So, like, all of the Pamilio that exist, it would be nice to have a gene bank of those animals. And then secondarily, protecting, buying, staffing, doing ecotourism, kind of showing why these animals are important, why we should keep them around, how they're great examples of biparental care, how they're great examples of aposematism, they're great ecological indicators as amphibians.
Oh,
again, there's so many things I know in my heart of hearts. It's like, yeah, but that goes deep too. So there's so many things this project could elucidate on so many levels, and I think I want to do all of it. And that's why
awesome.
That's why I have such a drive to do the project, because I think I can take it far and I think I can accomplish a lot with it. Not just in the United States by providing an outlet for captive bred Pamilio, but also doing something in Panama that can benefit their populations.
And the fact that what's the political government word of is it a sovereign state? I mean, they're a friendly nation with us. I mean,
yeah, they are.
I don't know all the answers, but I mean, at least you've got. Yeah. It's not like you're going to Colombian jungles here. At least it's a little bit friendlier of an environment that you have some government bilateral back scratching. So
yeah, Soros does all that with Colombia, and more power to him, because I could not do that. And that's why I really do like Soros a lot. They're doing great work over there in Colombia right now with the large obligates, which are smuggled very badly. Even now, there was a person that actually made national news with, I think, over 30 specimens of large obligates, and some of those are critically endangered subpopulations. So these smugglers are wiping out these populations of animals. So this is a very real problem. With Pamilio, it's not as bad, but that's only because as IUCN only recognizes the species, right? So I have 54 different kinds of Pamilio in my facility right now, but the IUCN just sees Ufaga Pamilio. They're like, oh, they're not endangered at all. No problem. They're at least yes. So that's what the problem is with poison frogs, is the diversity is much higher than we think. And what's happening is there's not enough protections around these animals because they are not protected by local governments, but they're also not recognized by national governments or national organizations as needing protection. So it's problematic, right? So we're losing genetic diversity left and right because these animals are just willy-nilly collected, smuggled, whatever. And then they're just like, oh yeah, it's least concern, not a big deal. You can export this many this year, whatever, even though Panama is closed right now. But you guys get the point. This is poison frogs across Central and South America. So every country that has poison frogs is dealing with this problem where tinctorius are widely spread and they're least concerned too, but they're not. Some of the subset tinctorius only are found in very small pockets, and we're going to lose those animals if we're not careful and agricultural development keeps going. Building cities, So some of this stuff is telling the locals, hey, you can't feed your family. I'm protecting a frog.
Right.
So you run into, there's a whole philosophical argument for this entire endeavor that we're going to take very seriously as well. We're looking to work with the natives, work with these people in these populations, say, hey, build a farm here, feed your family, but also keep these pockets of land. We'll pay you for it.
That's where ecotourism comes in, because if they can have resorts and restaurants and run the taxis and be guides and be knowledge assets in that area, ecotourism then pays the bills as opposed to commercial development.
Correct. And I would like to spearhead funding so that those people don't have to rely on any shady tactics to get money, any agriculture to get money, so they're not clearing land, they're not doing timber. There's a lot of primary rainforest. There's a lot of endangered biotopes that are just getting wiped out to plant monoculture crops, especially palm, seed oil, any kind of coconut products. And we're seeing this on a mass scale, and it's America's fault, half of it. So, it's like, I just want to do something worth a damn in my life. And I'm hoping that this Pamilio project really bursts open the floodgates for my ambitions as a human being to give back to the world. And that's kind of where I stand with crowdsourcing in that regard. I really do think I can get some backing once I delineate the project, once I show people, hey, we're serious about this. I've invested this much money. Our company's down there. We're making connections with the natives. We're supporting the economies. We can do so much good for both the native citizens and people in America at the same time, and most importantly, these animals. So I think it's
that's beautiful. I mean, that's like the Zen. What is that? That I shared a post of yours from May 10th. Is a guy?
Yeah. Yep.
That stuck with me, dude. Since you posted that on Facebook, because you and I have been Facebook friends for 5-6 years. We've had some friends in common, and I saw you post that, and that it was a Venn diagram of life purpose, monetary, and it was just
passion.
When it all overlaps is when you find that true calling, and that just really sings to me, and that you really summed it up very well there.
Yeah, I try not to be long-winded, but again, for the third time, I apologize. But that's kind of that's it. That's where I want to go with it. So I think together we can really make a difference with that.
Dude, that is awesome, man. That is awesome. I really do. Guys, everybody out there, y'all support Frog Daddy, this Pamilio project. Pass it on, right? Pass it on. Help these dart frogs. Help all the little froggies everywhere, right?
Go
Any
to
species
Instagram.
of reptile, period, right? That's what conservation's about. And we as human beings on this planet, every one of us should be involved with protecting the wild and all the wildlife, and right? Because that's what makes this ecosystem work and thrive. All of it. It works together. It's not just one animal. I mean, it's everything.
Right.
Yeah. Dude, that is command. My hat's off to you. I hope it does, man. This is huge.
Me too. I think it will, and I think there's a lot of people that do care about those kinds of initiatives, and I think it will take a substantial amount of money, but also voice to really get those voices heard. I think a lot of people have that little voice in their hearts, but they have no outlet for it. They don't know what to do. And I want to pave some infrastructure, at least in this sector, to kind of get to that point to where these little voices can actually come in together and become one larger voice for the community.
Absolutely, dude. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys being inquisitive about it, asking about it. Just talking about it is great. For right now, that's all I really care about because, like I said, it's in the beginning stages. I don't have anything to give you guys, so it's just I like stirring up talk about it. If you guys are more interested in it, you can always DM me. You can always ask more specific questions about where my mindset is. I'm very transparent. Chase is very transparent. We've agreed to be that. Frog Daddy has always been that. If you guys come to my facility, you can go anywhere in the facility that you want. There's no off-limit space besides the OSHA regulations. Dangerous.
So where'd you say donations? Like if anybody wanted to for crowdfunding, like a GoFundMe or like, do you have something?
I don't have one yet, and that's the problem. I guess I just felt I didn't feel icky about it. I just felt like I need to have something on paper to show people, hey, this is what my plan is. This is what you're donating to, and not just like a pipe dream. Yeah. Because a lot of people have pipe dream, and I hate to say it, it's not a pipe dream to them, but it ends up being that way because there's not drive or there's not money. There's always something holding people back. And I don't want to have people donate their money to me and then me not being able to deliver. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
you want to make sure it's concrete and you can keep it going. And right, I get that. You can keep the wheels oiled.
Yeah. Without your donation, we're still going to do it. We're still doing it. And that will show people, hey, he's serious. He's not grifting me. You know how crazy things are online right now. People are grifting people. It's hard economy out there right now. It's tough to live. It's tough to raise a family. People fall into hard times. So I don't want to be that guy that has a company that's like collecting these frogs for profit and then having people look at this and being like, I don't trust that. There's nothing here for me to see.
Just 50 cents a day and you could feed a starving frog.
Yeah, you could feed a frog.
So, hey, you know what? If we need to do a 24-hour telethon, we'll get on here and do it, right? Whatever it takes. That's what this is about.
I've seen the Jerry Lewis telethons. I'm old enough. I can run one of those.
Hey, pick up the phones, guys. With Now Talk text messages, text it to
in the arms of
operators are standing by.
It wouldn't be me. Y'all aren't gonna catch me doing that. But no, seriously, I don't think people are gonna think badly. I think if I did crowdsourcing, people would 100% support it.
Oh yeah.
But we're just working out the kinks to that to make sure that we come across, we convey it like I conveyed it. I want my voice to be as honest and conveying the most accurate truth I can about our project. So I think we will crowdsource, but I think for now, as soon as we have something concrete and a good plan, a good 1-year plan, 5-year plan, and 10-year plan, we'll publish all that and say, hey guys, what can we do about this? And then we'll go from there and see what kind of good stuff we can do. Because I think we'll be able to do a lot of good.
I think so too. Your head's in the right place, man. It always has been. So
I appreciate that. Genuinely, I really do. So I appreciate you guys listening to all that. That's a long. It's a long.
Alex, you're welcome at the campfire any day, right? Anytime. We love it, man. This was great. A lot of good info. Not dull at all. I mean, it's a lot. I'm overwhelmed with what you put out right now. This is crazy good.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, man.
I'll talk forever, man.
Man, it makes me want to get 3 or 4 dozen dark frogs. You know, I think they're cool especially this Familio project deal. This is like.
If you guys are interested, like I said, I'm really easy to get a hold of. My primary goal for my business was always customer service. I am the one that does all the customer service. I will never give that up. If you guys email, you text the company, you web chat the company, It all goes straight to my phone. I'm the only one answering it. So if you guys ever want to get in touch on Instagram, on Facebook, on the website, email, text, it all is going to be me. So that's the good part about this company, is that you're always going to be talking to, well, for better or worse, talking to me. It's me again. But yeah, so it's cool. You're not going to get misconstrued. You're not going to get two sides of the two sides of the story.
This is better than YouTube, right? This is better than YouTube. Come on now.
It really is. I'm not on TikTok, but maybe I should be.
Well,
Maybe
You just come hang out with us all the time. We do these hangouts during the week. I'll do a show. They write the Dreadnought Hangouts, and everybody comes through. You're more welcome to come hang out anytime you want. And then we do this show on Wednesdays.
I would like to do that. I would like to do that. Just be on the side there.
Well, you do have a TikTok page.
I do. I gotta get
guys,
it to 500.
Find Frog Daddy on TikTok. Let's get his followers up over there, okay? So he can use that channel to come get in the box and do his lives. It's all support Frog Daddy on TikTok.
Please follow me.
Yeah, you need 500 followers, and you can be a video guest, and you need 1,000 followers to host your own. So we'll get you there, man.
And we help everybody that needs it. We promote. We want to see everybody on the camera and in this hobby, you know, and passing on their knowledge and promoting what you do and what you support, you know.
Instagram. Find him on Instagram. That's where he's really established. Everybody that's in here, you should at least get 20, 30, 50 followers. Let's get asked.
Go to IG, follow him on IG, Facebook, right?
Yep,
a lot of support.
Everything you guys follow is going to be me. So you're following the company, but I am the company. So
I am the law.
I am.
But yeah, so it's good, and I do appreciate it. I'm not one to like beg for followers or likes or whatever, but
you don't need to. I saw your Instagram page.
Yeah, if you guys get me up there, I'll start doing stuff. Right now it's like I gotta pack these orders, I gotta respond to these customers, or I have fun online. I would much rather have fun online. I would love to create content.
We don't pay you as well, though. We don't pay as well. Sorry.
I know, and it stinks, but it is what it is. There are great influencers out there. They're really good.
You got a couple of free cowboy hats, though. So
I did. I didn't know what it was. I was going with it.
Yeah, that's what's fun about this over here. It's very interactive, you know, and very just organic, I guess. People just rolls through and scrolls and see it. Oh, what's going on? And I mean, it just kind of just goes sometimes.
That's so cool.
Sometimes we can roll 3-4 hours doing just a hangout. Just when we do our hangouts. And everybody's showing their different reptiles, or say you come on and we get a good topic going, right? Somebody's having an issue. Well, my frogs don't want to eat, or my snakes don't want to eat, right? There's always something we have to troubleshoot, and then we get other people coming through and we'll put them in the box. What do you got to say on the matter? And sometimes it'll go 3 or 4 hours for us. I mean, it's cool. We just kind of let it happen. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to. I'll coordinate with you guys after the show tonight, and maybe I can start making some appearances if you would like.
Anytime. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, you know, and TNA Chameleons, we try to get people on here to demystify some of these creatures. I mean, I kind of put dart frogs in with chameleons or coral reefs or some of the more intricate like green tree pythons or Elmer boas. Some of the other ones, you know, that are just so hard, bolins, pythons, things that are so hard for people to that they feel like, oh, I could never do that. It's really intimidating, and we like to demystify that. So I hope some of the people tonight got a little itch, and we got a few new frog keepers on our hands. At least I hope so.
That's right, froggies for life, guys, froggies.
Cool. Anybody got anything else? We want to let you go.
Anybody got anything else?
I don't want to take up your whole night, brother.
Yeah, we know you're busy.
Yeah, I got stuff to do, but you know, it's fine. I like doing. I miss doing this. I used to do Instagram lives all the time, and I did my first one for 10 minutes to show people that I was doing this. In 2 years, it had been 2 years since I had done a live, so it's just nice. It's nice. It's fun. So
we got you out of retirement. That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. He's chill. Yeah.
So no, I appreciate it, guys. It's really great. And like I said, if anybody wants to contact me, really easy to on Facebook, Instagram, anything like that. You guys.
So you have so on this, because we want to support you and your dark frogs and you know what you do over there. You're the guy, right? Josh's Frogs is good, but Frog Daddy is the guy. Okay,
I am the
Frog
guy.
Daddy. Frog Daddy's the guy, everyone.
I am not the mega corporation.
We endorse Frog Daddy. The Dreadnought can strictly not even the show endorses Frog Daddy for. Anyway, guys, if you want your complete setup from start to finish, he's the man. They're gonna get you set up and tell you everything perfect and help you get going and probably help you find the right frog you want for for your hobby or your collection. So.
I work with you guys one-on-one every step of the way. So
Not the biggest, but the best. See, there you go, April. You don't have to be the biggest conglomerate, but just got to be the best.
And that's what matters.
That's what we want.
It's the same thing with all these restaurants, right? Because the more stuff you got on the menu, your quality and consistency, you can't keep it there. But if you keep it simple like you're doing, you got a lot of animals, but you're keeping it simple, manageable, right? Like Ashley with the chameleons over there. She's got the nicest chameleons in the country. You probably got the nicest frogs I've ever seen, right? So
I've got some good ones.
there you go. And it shows because you're there 24/7. You're looking at them nonstop.
Yep. I got here at 4 o'clock this morning, and I'm still here at 10. So.
You're muffled again, buddy.
Yeah,
Sorry. I was
There we
saying I
go.
was here since 4:30 this morning. So.
Wow, gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I texted you at 8 o'clock your time, it wasn't too early. I was a little worried about it.
No, not at all. Because it was I was up, and I'm probably up at night on the other end too. So unfortunately, so I try to see my fiance every once in a while. It's been harder lately, and then going home, taking care of my stuff at home. But yeah, I pretty much live here at work. So
Yeah. Well, our guest next week is going to be Stygian Exotics. It's another crossover from Instagram. And she keeps some really unique species of snakes, lizards, and she keeps some stuff that maybe no one else is even potentially that we're aware of or she's aware of in the country. So next week we're having another Instagram person who's very well established there. She's going to be on using the same pathways you did tonight. So I'm so glad you got to be our guinea pig. I know you're not a rodent fan, but I appreciate it.
no, I'm good. That's good. I'm good with it as the test subject. That I can support. So
This actually worked out really good. So
Good.
This worked out really good.
good. Well, I'm glad you guys had me on. I had a great time, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Again, the world's
Alex,
first
thank you so
Frog
much.
Daddy
Let's get
on
some
Naughty
clap
Business
emojis
Live.
up. The clappy emojis on the bottom for Alex. And when you want to exit, because I know you're not big on TikTok, you can click your screen.
Okay.
I think you can click your screen and like either hit yes or no to exit or swipe to the left or something. I mean,
Okay. I'll
you've been
try.
on
I'll do
Tinder,
my
right?
best.
It's like Tinder. Yeah, I think you can just swipe to the left. I'm pretty sure.
Perfect. Well versed in that, unfortunately. Okay.
There he goes.
Let's try.
Well, guys, that turned out awesome, right? I mean, this was super scientific, and we held viewers. We held 25, 30 something all night long.
We
People
stayed
were
consistent
glued.
the whole time.
People were
he put out,
glued.
dude, yeah, he put out more info. I mean, this was really good. Really, I mean, just I gotta go decompress.
It was awesome. It
Okay.
was. It was. I mean, every week I'm blown away. Every week is like better in a different way. It's just amazing. There's no one best. Every week is like just a new present to open. It's freaking awesome.
Reptile Classifieds, you got to set your alarm to be over here earlier. Some of you guys set your alarm Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Central Time. The Naughty Business, don't miss out. Right? This was awesome. I'm
Dude, thank you for the gifts tonight, Sydney. Thanks for subscribing. Socially, Sydney. Thanks for the gift. Everyone was awesome, and the viewership was super. I mean, every week I think we're getting
we may
more and
not
more
have got
steady.
we may not have got the hearts up there that we wanted, but I'll tell you what, the viewership stayed consistent, and it was a good show, and I'm very happy with it. No complaints. And that, right, you seen we held the viewers the whole night, so
We hit 5,000 likes in 5 minutes.
yeah.
And I think once you hit 10,000, it doesn't matter anymore a whole lot until you hit like 100,000 or something. Because
Thanks, Kyle.
you hit the For You. Thank you, Kyle. Man, thanks for coming in again, buddy. I sure
Dude,
appreciate
Kyle's
it.
come through. He's been supporting this, man. I appreciate it, Kyle. We appreciate you 1,000, man. As you'd say, right? Dude, 1,000. Keep coming through and keep supporting us, and we love it. We love it. We want to keep this going.
Yeah, other things. Yeah. That's so true,
yeah,
man.
see, he's interested in other things, and that's what this is about. It's not always about the ball pythons. They're cool, but you got to learn about dart frogs and tarantulas and uromastics, and I mean, we got some venomous stuff coming up, and where's this really going to go? Who all can we really get? This is, man, I'm excited.
And we got 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 green tree python people lined up for the coming months. They're already booked, and so we're gonna roll them out slow. We got emerald tree boa people. We've got some other tricks up our sleeves. So stay tuned for sure.
That's right. That's right. Y'all don't want to see me dancing right now. Let's see.
Thank you, Kyle. That's our goal, buddy. That is the goal.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's when we talked about this, Kyle, like we was telling you. When I contacted Constrictly, I'm like, no one's doing this. You want to do it, right? You want to run this and do this, get different people? Hell yeah. Heck yeah, man. And he's like, I'm telling you, he's like a puppy with 3 Peters right now, getting her done.
That's right. I spend so much time making videos and reaching out and talking to people. It's a whole job by itself now. It's awesome.
There you go, Rhonda. Get them dollar bills out, Drill, and get that pole in a minute and flip upside down and dislocate a spleen.
There's a reason we don't ever see that other corner of the snake room. It's the snake room for a reason. There's a pole over there.
Yeah. Yeah, get it. Yeah, there you go. Get it, Dread. Get it, Dread.
What's up, Sleepies? Rhonda,
guys,
you are
all of our
awesome. Thanks for
naughties,
all
we
the
appreciate
support
you.
always.
Right? The naughties.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Right? Remember the Ultimate Warrior? The naughties, all my naughties.
Anthem, I'm glad you're feeling better. I loved your question. Where she? Oh, she disappeared. There she is.
Oh, she's over there feeding or cleaning or something like always, which I need to be in here probably cleaning again. I'll be in here all day tomorrow. Guys, is there any more questions or like anything that what do y'all want to do?
Stygian Exotics next Wednesday, 7 o'clock Central. We got Solomon Island ground boas, some really neat colors. I don't know a lot about sand boas.
Thanks, April.
African trinket snakes. Some of the
Give
only
you a
ones in
follow,
the
girl.
US.
You was very, very good in the my FTC.
April, thank you for the support and the
Cobra coming
information
tomorrow.
down there.
Sleepy's way cool. Way cool.
Yeah. That would be great. But so far, Kyle, I never really had any interaction with them yet. I'll get there in the next year. Mark my words. A year from right now, I'll be at the mayor's house, Bill Stiegel, down in Texas. It was an open invite, but I'm just not established enough to feel confident to go. But I'm going to go down there. I have at least 3 or 4 people in my corner to make sure I don't get beat up by the other green tree python people. And I'm going to be down there. I'm just waiting for my opportunity when it's right. I don't want to jump too soon and be just a little jerk. So I'm waiting for my chance.
Wednesdays, guys. Don't forget, I always promote the show, Naughty Business. Wednesday live, 7 p.m. Central Time. The #1 reptile extravaganza show, educational show on TikTok is Naughty Business. And we are.
And you can listen to all of our songs on demand on Amazon Music Unlimited.
What the
Amazon
hell?
Music Unlimited for Family lets you play music on up to 6 devices at the same time.
I don't know. Alexa, stop.
Alexa, play some Naughty Business music.
Similar artists on Amazon Music.
She's crazy.
That's right, Heart of TX. Naughty's got to show up and represent.
Yeah, we gotta take us out tonight. Thanks everybody for joining us.
That's why I need my wig so I can really get the big hairband going.
Frog Daddy, Instagram, frogdaddy.net to go buy all your stuff.
That's right, Frog Daddy, Frog Daddy, Frog Daddy. Kickstart my heart. That's why we